You know, we're a very lucky club. You look around the room and there are people here that I've been associated with for over 50 years, and some guys and gals for under a year. And we owe a lot to the history of this club. And I'd like everybody that has been with the club over 40 years to put their hands up. Oh, I thought there'd be more than 6. Anyway, the club carries on. We've gone through some rough times in the last few years in rugby, and we came back last year, and we're getting stronger all the time. And that's thanks to a lot of hard work by the executive and by a bunch of guys that got onto the alumni committee, and they were all here. And I'd like those guys to raise their hands. The guys that are on the alumni committee, please put up your hands. Max, you're one of them. Put up your hand, asshole. And when I say that to Max, you got to be careful because he's my doctor. Put up your hand. Anyway, my memory isn't quite what it used to be. That's another thing I have to be thankful for. I've taken a few shots to this bald head, so I don't mind looking at these notes. If I can read them. I got glasses. Unfortunately, these are the ones with the hearing aid attached. Anyway, we're here basically to recognize 2 guys that have given a lot of their life and their time to this club. And they're teammates of mine, or were teammates of mine at every level. They played for the club, they played for Vancouver, they played for BC, and in Jimmy Ryan's case, Canada. Dick Layzell would have played for Canada too, had he not been a U.S. citizen. But they busted their balls for this club at every level. They were part of the group that started our age grade program. That was the best in the city, if not Canada. But probably Canada, because most of those kids went on to play club rugby at every level. I want to ask you to put up your hands, but there are a number of guys in this room that came through the program that those guys started and went on to play internationally. So we owe a lot to people like this. Rugby's an amateur sport still in Canada. In other parts of the world, Jim and Dick would have been paid buckets of money. And much of our reputation around the world, because we've toured and we've hosted touring teams, is attributable to both these guys. Jimmy's standing over there wondering what the hell I'm talking about, because he's not a guy that patted in the back with wetting his dicks. But anyway, and Dick, where's Dick? Pretty hard to spot in that jacket. And the beak. But they're 2 of my favorite teammates. I played with them at the club, Vancouver, and BC levels. And I made it because there weren't many guys who wanted to play in the middle of the front row. And besides, I couldn't have gone anyplace else. But they could have played virtually for any other team, province, or country. They were that good, honestly. I'm not being gratuitous. Jimmy was fast and tough for a blind, skinny guy from Victoria. And Dick, apart from his nose, was a model North American athlete. And they were great. They really were. The other teams hated them. They didn't hate me. That tells you something. They didn't give a shit about me. But these guys made our club. They were 2 of the guys that were most responsible for the success that we had in the 60s and in the early 70s. So, without further bullshit or insults, I can do that later. I have a couple of mugs here, you guys. I'd like you to come up and accept on behalf of the club. And I want to make sure that you keep up your interest in the club. It's okay to get off your ass, Dick. And I'd like you to all raise your glasses in a toast to both Jim Ryan and Dick Layzell, who were helping, who were responsible for building our club at a time when we most needed it. I don't know, that's Layzell. Good boy, Dick. Well done, bud. Actually, they used to live together too.
We're not going to talk about that.
No, I think it's a good idea. Now, Jim was a back and Dick was a forward, but I want to let you know that that's as far as it went. Quite on.
Well, to all members of the Meraloma Club, I want to thank you very much for taking me into your fold back in about 65, 66. I was playing on the island, and but I remembered playing against Kitsilano High School in football and what have you. I went to Vancouver College, so I remember a lot of these fellas. They invited me over to play for them, and I took that opportunity. And then I was secondly blessed by meeting Dick Layzell, and ended up rooming with him for, I don't know, maybe 6 years. And at that time in our kitchen table, when I got a word in edgewise, I was able to say something to Dick. But it was all about junior rugby, and Dick said, what are we going to do with these kids coming out of high school, Point Grey, McGee, PW? What are we going to do with them? So through his persistence, we gave a rebirth to the junior rugby in Vancouver, and through the help of a couple of people on the island in BC. And as a result out of that, through the persistence again by Dick, that you see that big picture back over there, and that was the first Canadian Junior Championship in 1976 at the Pan Am Field in Winnipeg, and it was all through the hard work of Dick, and I went along as Mutt and Jeff. I don't know who's Mutt and who's Jeff, but we actually worked very well together, good cop, bad cop, and as a result of that, it got me into coaching, which I continued on, and I've just celebrated my 54th straight year still involved in rugby, president of the Fraser Valley Rugby Union and what have you, but I owe it all to the Meraloma Club who gave me that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll say.
There's too many people here that know a lot of stories about what it was like back in high school coaching. Max, having dinner at your wonderful family. Jim Ryan, 5 years, my roommate down in Kits. Don't want to hear those stories. But the beauty of being here is club. I look at the majority of you here, and there's a lot of us that won't be here 10, 15 years from now, 10. But how do you keep it going? And that's the key. Good times, bad times. I came to the Meraloma Club as a dumb American. I did well. I was accepted. But, you know, there's more you have to do. I'm looking at guys from PW, McGee, and other places. And if you only knew, our lives really are bigger than this in rugby. But keep this going. If there's a bump in the road, you will get them there. If there's some verve, some enthusiasm. And I really believe that the Meraloma Club's not going away. I have a jacket I wear all over Vancouver. Has a diamond M on it. You wouldn't believe the amount of people that come up and talk to me about, oh, you played for the Meraloma. They're 60 years old. They played junior football back in whatever, you know. And then talk, and then they find out the wife went to Kitsilano. You know, I just love it. But Anyway, the whole existence of my life in Vancouver has been for all the people that I've coached and been involved. Eric Martin, 17 years old. He shouldn't have been in grade 12. He was accelerated. He was my captain. Took him to Portland in a car. I've got a picture of him. When I brought him back, he had 2 black eyes. And they weren't from being hit. Fumano was in charge of saying, would you look after him? He's a student. We can't go out and drink. That was the problem. He went out with Fumano. Oh, sorry, Gus, to wake you up. But all these experiences, I talked to a couple of administrators here, Animal, things that we were doing back in the days relating to kids from the schools. It was a commitment. Something that I didn't have as an American. I went through the American system. And, you know, I hate to say it. When I came up here, I came up with very jaded. The American system sucked. So what have we got? Kids at PW, schools, people that want to do things. Why wouldn't you get excited? And that's what I did. Ended up being thrown in a room with Jim Ryan and Steve Kelso, Cartoon Head. Remember that? Anybody here know Cartoon Head? And they were a bunch of people trying to get rid of all these guys that are crashing around Vancouver, put them in a place. But that was the origin of how it started. Jim and I would sit and talk and plan in our living room, and he's had earphones on, listening to Simon and Garfunkel. Oh, Jim's not paying attention. But no, that's what it's all about, and I hope that you guys keep this going. There's some tremendous people. The president of the club, in front of me, Gus, but we're not all here. You young guys have to come forward, just like we did back in the junior days, and you're the new people. And it works. Thank you.